You're watching Arise News, and this is Daybreak. It's time for a press review, a look at the front pages from around the world, and analysis of those big stories. We'll begin, as usual, with our sister publication This Day, and it's leading on its front page this morning. Tinubu meets Akpabio, Jibrin after Senate suspends Ningi over budget padding allegation. Let's look at some of the riders to that story very quickly. Jibrin spokesperson disagree over alleged 500 million naira allegations to lawmakers. Senate leader claims some senators planning to impeach Akpabio before June. Embattled senator resign as Northern Senators Forum's chair. Well, above the masthead this morning, federal government secures $1.3 billion for completion of Kano Katsina Jibia Maradi project. And the federal government presses Binance to divulge user data amid Naira speculation probe. And those are the stories on the front page of This Day.
Let's take a look at Punch on their front page and see what it is saying this morning. Budget padding controversy. Punch newspaper, budget padding controversy. Ranking senators get 17 billion naira constituency votes. Ningi suspended with some riders there. Senators got 500 million vote. Naira each, says Jibrin. Ningi resigns as Northern Forum chairman. Akpabio says 500 million naira for constituency projects. Alleges some lawmakers plotting Akpabio's removal down. Well, there you see Army boss illegal guns factory in Delta arrest 8. APC PDP clash over Fubara. Akpabio's political jibes at Wigwe's burial in Port Harcourt. Ayeda Tiwa declares governor bid gets reps. 18 lawmakers nod. On the top mast of the Punch, Tinubu 6 Ramadan prayers. Jigawa slashes working hours. FG probes 107 varsities over forced degrees and abductions. Reps tackled NSA IG deploys courts in Kaduna and Kano.
Vanguard leads with the alleged budget padding in the Nigeria National Assembly. Rumples as senators bicker over money money sharing, beg your pardon. What's going on this morning? Rumples, the senators bicker over money sharing. And Nigeria crude oil output drops 7% to 1.3 million barrels per day.
Leadership, it says, Tinubu has you in mind. Shetima tells Nigerians a $3 trillion budget padding. Ningi's journey to 3-month suspension. That's what the Senate ended up with. Free Borno children die. 45,783 IDPs rendered homeless by fire.
The Daily Trust, amidst budget padding allegation, 500 million naira allegations tears senators apart. Ningi suspended for 3 months, quits as Northern Senators chair. Nigerians will never respect Senate in future, says Akpabio. Leader alleges plot to impeach Senate president.
Let's look at the Punch Sports Extra. Nigerian athletes doing Nigeria proud. Nigeria lifters snatch 15 gold. And on that front page, the wanted one, Amoneke fans' favorite for Eagles coaching job. You see about 5 of them. You have Olisa's 12%, Finidi 15%. Amoneke himself gets 53%. And Roblanco's face tough Italian test today. Clinical Catalans punish visitors. That's Atletico against Inter Milan. But of course, Barcelona defeated their opponents yesterday. Napoli and Gunners came out successful against Porto. That's for the Sports Punch Extra.
A variety of stories make it to the front page of the international papers this morning. The Eye, yes, there it is, says Sunak bows to Tory pressure to admit donor was racist.
Right, Daily Mail, what have they done with our loved ones' bodies? Families tell the Mail of their anguish as police describe truly horrific events at funeral parlors and a 1,000-ring hotline.
The Times this morning, Rwanda plan will offer migrants £3,000 to leave.
All right, let's bring in Dr. Constance Ikoku, a journalist, commentator, and a RISE analyst to look at this papers, the stories they're talking about. We start, of course, usually with our own sister publication, the State newspaper. It says Tinubu meets Akpabio, Jibrin after Senate suspends Ningi over budget padding allegation. And there's a story here of a Shetima, saying that fault lines deliberately manipulated to divide Nigerians during the 2023 elections. I guess inside this day. Constance, what do you make of this story on Tinubu meeting at Akpabio Jibrin after Senate suspended Ningi over the padding incident, and of course what Shetima said?
Yes, two heavy stories this morning. Yesterday, as expected, a lot of chaos and confusion at the plenary in the National Assembly, and Ningi stuck to his guns. We still haven't seen the evidence, but he insists on what he said. Eventually, the hammer, landed on his head. He was suspended, and a lot of crisis. So it is expected that the president will be meeting the Senate leadership, and specifically the head of the Senate, Mr. Godswill Akpabio. Of course, they have to discuss what's going on because it's very damaging and messy and untidy, and generally paints the National Assembly and by extension the whole government and the APC, the ruling party, in bad light. So they have to find a way to clean out this mess. And to Shetima, the vice president, he was speaking at a book launch where he talked about the fault lines being manipulated. The book was on how President Tinubu got to become the president, having been a politician for many years, and the odds he had to beat. And what Shetima said has hit a nerve in some circles, in view of the fact that some will say that the APC, his party, hasn't done a very good job of uniting Nigerians. In fact, they have spectacularly failed in bringing about cohesion and trust within the country. In the last 8 years, under President Muhammadu Buhari, it was probably one of the most divisive tenures that we had in this country in terms of religious and ethnic relations within Nigeria, and that has not improved either at this time. So, and also when you look at in 2015, the same party APC used, all sorts of gimmicks and antics to win the election. So whatever they are accusing the opposition or other people of doing, the opposition will also say that they have done worse. And here we are in the country.
I'm basically saying if you live in glass houses, don't throw stones.
Exactly, do not throw stones.
Okay. Let's look at the Punch this morning. There's a picture on the front page you cannot miss, and it's kudos to the Nigerian military. Army bust the legal gun factory in Delta, arrest 8 people as that picture parades. But Dr. Ikoku, there's a story on the Islamic cleric Sheikh Gumi, who is speaking once again, and is telling President Bola Tinubu not to toe the path of his predecessor, President Muhammadu Buhari, in negotiating with bandits and terrorists.
In general, the army and the police have been facing quite a number of security problems. Nigerians will say they are doing their best. Others will say they are not doing enough in terms of maybe they do not have the right equipment, or they're not well motivated, or the government might be involved in some of these things that are happening. If not, how is the government looking so helpless so many years after this crisis is still going on? And when it comes to Sheikh Gumi, he has been a controversial figure from the northern part of the country, and he has always advocated for the government to negotiate with bandits and terrorists who people see as just criminals. And so he is telling President Tinubu to do that again. So over 200 students were kidnapped in Kaduna the other day, and then also earlier about 200 women were also taken in an IDP camp in Borno State. And these criminals or these bandits, you know, they make money. This is a business for them. They kidnap, you pay a ransom, they collect it, go back into the bush and come again. So the question is, how does this help the government, or how does this help the situation when you negotiate with them or when they receive ransom? Is that not an encouragement to them to continue in criminal activities? The whole thing just seems very helpless, and the government obviously needs to do better.
Now, there's a story that stares you on the face. The paper is Daily Trust, actually too. Amidst budget, this same budget padding allegation, it says 500 million largesse tears the senators apart. Some said they got, some said they didn't got. Shouldn't this be investigated? What are we talking about here? And then you have mob raises at Abuja market mob as prison of officers gone down, fleeing suspect.
Yes, indeed, to that story. Yesterday, it was supposed to be Senator Ningi's head on the block to be chopped. Instead, a lot of other dirty linens were thrown around in public with allegations and counter allegations from senators. Some saying senior members of the Senate got 500 million. We are being told that that was for constituency projects. And then they say, okay, watch us within the next 1 year, whether we or not, we use that to execute the projects in our local constituencies. But the point is, some are saying that the whole thing just paints the National Assembly in bad light, and also plays into that narrative that the bunch of lawmakers that we have in Nigeria are specifically not working in the interests of Nigerians.
Who even monitors the projects anyway?
Yes, it's part of the question. In most cases, these monies disappear. And so people have always advocated for a National Assembly that maybe should run on a part-time basis. And so that we are not wasting all this money on people that seem like they're there to serve themselves.
Well, Dr. Koko, in a moment, we'll be heading to our Lagos studios to find out what they have in store for us and our viewers on the morning show. But very quickly, there are lots of stories we need to touch on. We now know that Ningi has resigned as the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum. Do you think that perhaps we've not had the last of this issue? That's on one hand. On the other hand, I wanted to ask you about the Edo politics. The embattled deputy governor says he's not been served.
Yes, we haven't heard the last on Ningi's case. I think more dirty things will be coming out in public. I think he's fighting. Initially, 1 year, 12 months was proposed as a suspension, and then it was reviewed to 6 months and then 3 months, with a proviso that if he tenders an apology, he will be recalled. There is more to these stories, and we will hear more. Then to Edo, the deputy governor, Philip Shaibu, has had a running battle with his principal, Godwin Obaseki. And I think that story highlights the often difficult relationship between a governor and his deputy, and also a president and the vice president. The deputies are often seen as spare tires and haven't been very functional. In this case, the State Assembly wants to serve him, or they said he is dodging being served, and so they had to publish it in the newspapers, to make it public and say, we have served you an impeachment notice and you have to go. And he says he hasn't been around. I think at the end of the day, the elections, new elections for the next tenure of governors will be in a few months in Edo State.
Yes.
So the thing is, what's the sense in serving him an impeachment notice or impeaching him? It's just a few months to go.
Never say never with politicians.
Yes. Is it about humiliating him, or what does it have to do? And then you can also see that in the states, the state houses of assembly are usually in the pocket of the governors, and therefore do the bidding of the governors. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really speak well of them.
All right, we couldn't take the Rwandan story. Thank you so much, Constance, for being with us this early here this morning.